and Ari Shaffir just kind of out of nowhere. What's going on, man?
What's going on?
Ari Shaffir just out of nowhere last week. He said there was a comedian, and he said that faked cancer.
Yeah.
I mean, you've heard the clip, right?
Yeah.
And so we had not heard the story.
And I was completely unfamiliar with the...
Yeah. And halfway through the story, Ari was like, well, it's not confirmed. I'm just saying it. We were like, okay, well, that's a completely different thing. But we watched the clips and everything. And afterwards, Quincy Jones, the comedian that we're talking about, reached out. And he was like, guys, I'm going to be in town. You know, I can...
come in here and straighten this whole thing out.
Yeah, I can straighten it out for you guys. And we were like, of course. Like, you know, we don't need to just take Ari Shaffir's word for your story. But welcome, Quincy Jones. Good to have you in here, man.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, guys.
For sure.
Good morning. Good morning.
How did this whole thing start?
I mean, jealousy of comedians. I think that's how.
Is that what it was?
That's how I had. That's all it had to been. Because
are they jealous of the cancer or
they were jealous of the HBO special?
I see.
You know, they were jealous of the credits that I got from it. You know, what happened was I started out. I have cancer. I still have it, for the record. So I have peritoneal mesothelioma. I just had chemo yesterday, right? So I got diagnosed July 3rd, 2015. I got diagnosed in Morristown, New Jersey, at the hospital out here. I then flew back on July 5th to LA. I was in the hospital for 50 days there. I was in there for 50 days. I got out for a few hours. I said I don't feel right again. I went back to the hospital, a different hospital, and they said I had a blood clot in my heart the size of a 50-cent piece, usually incurred by stress.
So you were there for 50 days for the cancer?
I was there because I got diagnosed out here, and then I was like, yo, they said, for the oncologist said it was going to be like, all right, it's about 6 weeks to see us. I was like, I have cancer. I don't have 6 weeks. I need to get some treatment out. Sure. So I went to the ER, checked myself in, made sure that they admitted me. And then that started a procedure of like taking tests, you know what I'm saying, and a whole bunch of surgeries. So fast forward, I get out.
Were you in the hospital for 50 days or you just had to go in and out?
No, I was in the hospital for 50 days.
That's got to be a hell of a medical bill.
You checked it in the emergency room with cancer. Did you say it was something else just to get in?
Yeah, I said I had ascites because my stomach was filling up with fluid. You know what I'm saying? If you go back on my Instagram, you can see pictures of me in the hospital, really frail, really skinny. You know what I'm saying? So I did my first round of chemo there in the hospital. It was aggressive. I did 6 or 7 rounds of aggressive chemo, cisplatin and Alimta. Cisplatin is the one that, is the most harshest one, everyone says.
So do you get as sick as people say you get? Do you puke every day, or does it affect?
I mean, I get nauseous. Like, I get different side effects. I got ringing in my ears. I got, neuropathy where, like, my fingers start tingling and whatnot. And, like right now it's been bothering me in my right thumb. But, I mean, it varies. The side effects vary. Sometimes I can't sleep, so I have to smoke weed to go to sleep, and so that wrapped up 2015. A couple friends of mine, Nicole and Mickey Blaine, came to me and was like, hey, what do you want to do? Because in the hospital, the doctor said, when they told me I had peritoneal mesothelioma, I asked, how much time do I have? He says, give or take a year.
Gee, how old are you?
34.
So you're like 31, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he says, give or take a year. I was like, all right, cool.
How scary is that to hear?
I mean, it was terrifying, but it was also like L.A. County. It was like the county hospital. So it wasn't like they didn't deliver it delicately like in the sitcoms. And it's like, yeah, they like woke me up. I just did like 3 milligrams of Dilaudid. I was dozing off. It was like 6 in the evening. And they're like, yeah, they walk in with like 6 or 7, doctors. And they're like, hey, you got cancer. And it spread. It spread from your abdomen to your left lining of your lung. And so you got to do chemo. We can't do the surgery. I was like, okay, cool. So I started chemo, blah, 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 wrap up 2015, Nicole and Mickey.
Now, are you terrified when all this is going on?
I mean, yeah, of course I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely was. I went through a breakup at the time, too. Perfect timing.
Is that why she broke up with you? Or was it,
I'm not trying to deal with all this.
Yeah.
I mean, possibly. I'm not going to act like we were blissfully happy beforehand, but she chose the worst time to check out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so then we start making plans to do a Kickstarter. So we filmed the Kickstarter. It goes viral.
And is the point of the Kickstarter to do a special, or is it to pay off these medical bills that you incur from staying in the hospital for 50 days?
The Kickstarter was to do the special. And we only asked for $5,000.
Okay.
That was the goal.
How did you pay off the hospital bills? I mean, that seems like...
we did a GoFundMe that raised $20,000. I paid for my hospital bill.
Gotcha.
So that was it. So it was GoFundMe different from the Kickstarter, which is not what Ari said. So the Kickstarter ends up going viral. It catches the attention of the Ellen producers. I interview with like 4 or 5 Ellen producers.
Because you're thinking, I want to do this special now because I may only have 12 months. I need a legacy.
You legitimately think you're going to die?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, and the thing is, when a prognosis of a doctor's wrong, they don't like update you.
Sure.
You're just like, oh, you're not, okay, you're doing good. Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I was traumatized for a year. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do I do now? Kickstarter goes viral, get on Ellen. Ellen reaches out to HBO. We were going to do it at the West Side Comedy Theater in LA, a little small theater in Santa Monica. It went viral. We ended up doing it at a bigger theater. A lot of people came. I did it in LA, so all the comics that helped contribute and visit to me could be a part of it. I figured it was a special. It was a good thing. Special comes out on my birthday.
What'd you call it?
Burning the Light. So I called it Burning the Light. And then after that, like a month and a half later, just a random comic just says, Quincy Jones is lying about having cancer.
Is this the girl that Ari was talking about putting it on Facebook?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Now, did you know her?
I'd seen her at an open mic or two. We weren't friends. She didn't come to visit the hospital. I didn't know her like
You just
that.
knew she was a comedian?
Yeah, I just knew she was a comedian.
Right.
You know,
now, did she say she was a friend of yours, or she didn't? Okay.
No, she didn't say that.
You had met her, but you didn't know her well.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Never hung out with her, never anything like that. So just at an open mic. And so she said that. And at that time, I had just gotten a high-pec surgery in Baltimore with Dr. Richard Alexander. And they were taking the 45 staples out of my stomach as I'm reading this. And I'm like, oh, this is crazy. This has got to be a joke. I don't believe this is happening.
And in your head, I would imagine that you're saying, well, this is happening to me. There's going to be a lot of backlash against this person if she's actually being serious.
Right.
Because you don't take somebody who's sick and like accuse them of faking it.
Yeah.
I mean, and it divided up a lot of comedy communities. You know, a lot of people were like, yo, I visited him in the hospital. I was there when doctors talked to him. There's no way he's lying about having cancer. She just said this with no proof.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the biggest thing to me. That's the most upsetting thing about everything. Is like, no one provided any proof. It was up to me to provide proof, you know? And I'm like, and my management at the time was like, no, don't just ignore it. Don't think anything of it. Just let it go. I was like, okay, well, that's what you guys think is best. But it kept going.
Yeah, it's terrible advice by the management.
Yeah, it kept going. Like really kept going. Like, I didn't know how far it came all the way out here to New York comedy scene. People were like, are you lying about having cancer? I was like, what? How am I lying about having cancer? Where's the lie? Where's the proof? We got other comics lying about being in 9/11, but we fact checked them, but they're still getting booked. I lost everything. Like all the good stuff that happening. I lost management, lost representation, lost bookings.
So the management that told you not to say anything, eventually it was too much, and they were like, we're going to step out.
But why? Don't you have proof that you have cancer?
Yeah. I IG live it every 3 weeks. I do it every 3 weeks. I just did it yesterday.
Do you have paperwork proof?
So glad you asked that.
He brought up because but I figured he would because I saw him open his bag when he sat down.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all you should do is you should put this on your Instagram, block out whatever information that is too personal.
Personal information.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay.
Hold on,
he has pulled out a stack of paperwork. I mean, this looks like it's probably...
Describing the type of cancer from 2017, reason for the exam. Go ahead.
Believe me, I put my glasses on. You'd think that a real gentleman is about to... I have no idea what I'm looking at.
Yeah, like some medical expert is about to...
Dr. Jim Norton.
Yes. And they're using your real name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, now, does it... So at what point did you go, I have to start telling people that this is bullshit? I have to explain that.
I addressed it on a Facebook post. You know, I mean, obviously it's not as major a platform, but you got to understand, Sam, like there was Reddit threads going on about me. I had people wishing death upon me, you know, like people were like, oh, you're that, like I was no longer like, oh, the guy from Ellen, but the guy who's lying about cancer. And when you press them, people would be like, oh, you're not lying about having cancer. No one thought to fact check.
I'll be honest, if you fake this, boy, you put a lot of work into these.
Does it say he's got cancer on that thing?
I haven't said the word cancer, but it's abdomen and pelvis. It's all medical shit.
Mesothelioma?
Peritoneal mesothelioma.
Pancreas, gallbladder, adrenal glands are unremarkable. Oh, they insulted your... They said unremarkable. That's not pleasant.
So I think that the evidence that... the only real evidence, quote unquote, that I've heard or seen, and again, we've been aware of this story for
Sorry to interrupt
like
you,
a
Sam.
week.
31-year-old male with metastatic mesothelioma.
That sounds like cancer to me.
It's sure. Metastatic means it's
metastasized.
It's metastasized.
It's spread.
That means it's spread. And which is what you just said. It goes to the lung or from the abdomen to the lung. Is it okay to
read this out loud?
Yeah, go ahead.
It says in 2014, patient began to have abdominal distension requiring monthly TCs?
Yeah, paracentesis taps.
Yeah,
Tough even with the glasses on, huh?
Yeah, with 4.5. No, I just didn't know the word.
Yeah.
Draining each time in 5/2015. Patient followed up with MIS in clinic and was found on PET. 5/28/15. I have a 13 hyperbolic peritoneal nodule with no evidence of disease. Now, I don't know what a lot of this means, or at least correct myself if any of it means.
You were very confident when you said nodule, though.
I mean, that's a confident word.
Yeah.
You know,
I will say this. This is legitimate medical fucking paperwork, and it did say that, and his real name is on the top right corner. I don't know if you've said your real name, but it's up there. So this seems very legit to me.
So,
as a high school dropout, I read these medical documents, and I concur that they are legit.
In the week that we've known about this story, the only evidence that I think we've been presented with, unless I'm wrong, is that people are like, well, he's got a beard. So can you explain how does one keep a beard and do chemotherapy?
Yeah, like I said, the aggressive rounds, I lost my hair. When they put me in the maintenance chemo, cisplatin is the one that was the most aggressive one. When they had me on Alimta.
What does aggressive mean with chemo? It's just it's the harshest?
Yeah, it's the harshest mix of the cocktails you could. You know what I'm saying? And like the thing about chemotherapy is it's just they're letting off a radioactive bomb in your bloodstream to kill everything, including, the good with the bad cells. So they did that. I did that for 7 rounds. Boom. They put me on Alimta, and my hair started growing back, but not as fully as it was before.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Eyebrows thinner. I have, definitely dry skin all over. The side effects are legit. And people are saying that's the reasoning. It's like he has a beard.
That's what
Ellen asked you about that. Yeah, she did ask you about that. And because Ari was telling us that it was we thought it was confirmed that you had faked it. Then when she asked you about see, Ellen knows. But now maybe she was just asking you.
Yeah, but then it wasn't until after we watched the Ellen clip that Ari was like, no, I mean, there's no confirmation. I'm just saying this. Jim and I were like, oh, well, okay, that's a different story. And by the way, we should say, we didn't invite you to say, hey, prove it to us.
Yeah,
this is about you kind of having a platform.
You reached out, and it's like, I would like to get the story straight.
Yes. I mean, I was happy, and then with a major platform like this, it was definitely cool. But even some of your people, I don't the internet's a vicious place.
I've never experienced that. It's been all compliments.
I know, that's my thing. But no, they were just like people wishing death. You go on dates. I'm dating around, and people are like, oh, I Googled you. You have a Reddit thread saying you're faking cancer. What's up with that? I'm like, all right, well, this concludes the date.
So you have to get into your medical history on every first date.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, how do you smoothly drop you have cancer too?
Sure.
Right. I used to wait till the 3rd date. You know what I'm saying?
So the cancer, what is the status of your cancer right now? Are you in remission? Are you simply treating it?
I'm just treating it. It's controlling it. It's not shrinking it. It's not spreading. Oof. Like the drug I'm on, I just do this every 3 weeks until it stops working. We don't know when. We don't know when. So I think the reason why I was able to be so fortunate is because I was surrounded by loved ones. The external environment was good. I was getting a lot of love. And
so you didn't hang out with Ari Shaffir that much?
I didn't, no, unfortunately. I think that's why he said that. I didn't hang out with him.
They can only kind of just stop it from spreading right now.
Right.
How come they can't do anything is that just the type of cancer it is, or they can't?
Yeah, the thing is, most cancer is where it clumps up in cells. So you get a fistful of negative cells, and they do chemo and that erodes it, and then they do radiation that shrinks it, and then hopefully it goes away. Mine doesn't clump up in cells. It gets in the lining of my organs. So when I was going to the hospital with the distended belly, it was because there was fluid filling up in there, and it was like 3 months, really
Sure.
tight. And so I went through that. And so that's what they were draining it constantly. And they were like, well, we don't know why this is happening. Hence the test. They did a biopsy in June. Boom.
So, wow. I mean, just because I have it here, stage 4 mesothelioma, which is what you were diagnosed with.
Correct.
And this is, again, I think why people jumped on the suspicion of everything. The median survival rate for stage 4 mesothelioma is 12 months. Many patients are too weak to withstand aggressive surgeries. Although stage 4 is considered terminal, some patients continue to defy the odds and live years after their initial prognosis. So the median survival rate is 12 months. People are kind of expecting it, and it's coming. Sure. But there are people that are kind of living exactly the way you just described, which is through treatment and just...
Yeah, you have stage 4.
I mean, I have stage 4. It gets bumped up whenever it spreads. The thing about that is also because I got the same quote from the doctor, Dr. Byron Jennings. And so when I got that quote, I asked him, what was the age of the people who were in the study. Like, can you cite the source? They were 66, 67 years old.
I see.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where I got the cancer from. You know what I'm saying?
So you don't know what caused it or where it came from or if it's just genetic or one of those things.
Right. We don't know. I didn't have any asbestos. I didn't work in a shipyard. I didn't work in a mechanic shop where traditional people get it. So we don't know where I got it from.
Do you get mad, like, because I bitch and moan about, if little shit goes wrong. Do you have any of this, like, what the fuck to God? Or do you have any of that, like, why me?
I mean, yeah, like, whenever someone dies, it brings it closer to home, my mortality, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's a friend or, a comic or something like that, you're like, damn, that's crazy. Like, I'm still here. And then you got people wishing death upon you on the internet, like, not even just out the blue. Just like, oh, man, I thought you'd be dead. Like, you still Google Quincy Jones comedian, first thing pops up, is he dead?
Right.
No, I'm not dead. I'm here. So I'm not dead. I'm not faking cancer. I'm unrepped also. So
why did the management? What happened how did they tell you they were leaving you? And if you're like, well, I have paperwork, like, how do you guys not stand by me? How did that happen?
I mean, I just think we weren't a good fit, and that was the way things were getting heavy. They didn't know how to handle it. How do you handle it? You go from a comic who's on at the top for a second, and then he gets torn down. And they don't know how to they're not the publicists or anything like that. So I don't blame them. I don't fault anybody for anything. I'm just surprised at how crazy the world is.
And what about with Ellen too? Because she helped you get this. Has she responded to any of this, or have you reached out? Has anybody reached out to her again and go, they're killing me. They're telling me I don't have cancer.
No, I did. I've dealt with it all on my own. I've had to ignore it and just be chill or address it, randomly or something like that. But to me, it's just like, I don't understand how people could think that.
Mm-hmm.
How can you fake cancer? How can you get on Ellen and fake cancer?
Well, I get where people would think that there are liars,
sure,
right? There are people who fake stuff. Jim, you were telling a story about somebody that you knew that faked leukemia and fake leukemia
many years ago. Yeah, a guy in a 12-step program faked having leukemia. That's, people did it for the attention, and then it spins out of control, and then.
Look what happened with it's a cancer, but look at what happened with Jesse Smollett.
Yeah,
who said, like, who would fake what he faked? That is crazy, but sometimes people go into these crazy places when they want attention.
And they don't expect it to spiral out of control or become as big as it becomes. So that's probably how people could go. So what happened? This girl who said this, does she still do stand-up?
You're talking about the comedian that first?
Yeah, the one who first said this. And have you confronted her?
No, I haven't confronted her.
Why?
I don't. I'd probably beat the shit out of her.
Well, can't you write something and say?
It's starting to sound like Russell Westbrook.
Yeah. Can't you write her something and put in a piece of the paperwork and say, "What are you, fucking stupid?"
The thing is, like,
or can you sue? Can people? Not that you should. I'm not for frivolous lawsuits.
That's not a frivolous lawsuit. If somebody's accusing you of lying and it's hurting your career about something like cancer, which is very provable.
Yeah. I guess the biggest thing for me is, like, no one tried to prove anything. No one tried to back up or research at all. You think I get on Ellen and go through interviews with 4 different producers and no one's fact checked anything?
Have you looked into the legalities of people who are going on the internet? And I don't mean the anonymous trolls and whatnot, but I mean people in comedy that are going into public places and saying this guy's lying. Isn't there some kind of ramification for it?
I'm sure I could sue for libel. Libel or something like that,
and
or
in fairness,
of character. But I, to be honest, like, I don't like to go to court to sue another broke comedian is not going to do anything for me.
Right?
You know what I'm saying?
It might clear your name in the sense that
people would see that you.
Yeah, if he was lying, he probably wouldn't be suing.
Dr. Steve is on the line. Maybe he can ask questions that we wouldn't know to ask.
Shed some light on this.
Yes.
What's going on, good doctor?
Hey, man.
Dr. Steve, of course, he hosts Weird Medicine here on the channel on the weekends, and it's on demand and everything.
Yeah, are you? I'm not sure if you've been listening. We're talking to comedians.
Of course.
Oh, you have.
Never miss a show.
Okay, I like the attitude.
Keep that in.
I think there are evidence. There is evidence that you have missed shows in the past. But go on, Dr. Steve.
Yeah, I don't know
exactly
what to ask
listener.
or what to look for, but I think he's telling the truth. There's a lot of paperwork here.
Yeah. Okay. So stage 4 mesothelioma is the question, correct?
Correct.
And mesothelioma is a tumor of the lung that often involves the chest wall. Can be very painful. And when it's stage 4, that means there's only 4 stages, so that means that it's spread. Stage 4 is considered a terminal illness. People who have treatment will live longer than average. The average treatment or the average lifespan with treatment of stage 4 mesothelioma is right around 12 months. Now, that means, there's a significant group of people that live much longer than that, and some of them may live much longer than that. So there's a huge variability in humans. And, he may just be one of the lucky.
So there's no, I
don't know anything about the case.
No, what should we ask? What should we ask? Because I think he's telling the truth. He seems very honest, and there's a lot of paperwork here. What's a question that we could ask that somebody who has been through this process for real would know the answer to, but somebody who's faking it wouldn't?
Sure. Well, first thing, what kind of treatment did he have? There are people who have lived 10 years with stage 4 mesothelioma. And, there was a drug trial at Duke University that was pretty successful. Okay, here we go. I just found something about Quincy. If you want, this is from a website on peritoneal mesothelioma from asbestos.com, if you're interested in seeing what they have to say about it.
Yeah, of course. If you're interested, we're interested, Doctor.
He was diagnosed with stage 4 peritoneal mesothelioma. Okay, so this guy had it in his abdomen, not in his lung. He has lived more than 3 years thanks to chemotherapy. Oh, and his love for laughter, it says here. But, that's not one.
Too bad you can't edit that out like Wikipedia. Sometimes they throw in these little things that are not helpful.
Yeah, Dr. Steve, do you think laughter is the best medicine, or is the chemo more effective?
Well, I think chemo is probably more effective.
I see. But, Steve Jobs disagreed, but
yeah, he sure did.
We all know what happened.
Right. The prognosis for peritoneal mesothelioma may be different than lung mesothelioma. I'll have to look that up. So,
but there's no red.
It's certainly possible if he's lived 3 years. That's not outside the realm of possibility.
No, and
there's no red flags here as we have the conversation, as we've had conversations in the past. You're not sitting here going, clearly, we're not addressing something.
Yeah, because he wants to clear his name and not be called. If you're being accused of lying about something that big, and you have an HBO special based on it, you don't want to be, fucking called a liar by somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about.
I mean, if he really wants to prove it, it's pretty easy to do. All he has to do is produce the biopsy results. He shouldn't have to do that. No one who has terminal cancer should have to go, well, here's my biopsy report for everyone to see. But if he really wants to satisfy everybody, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, do you have that? I mean, not with you, but...
Yeah.
So have you ever put that on Instagram?
No, like the doctor said, I didn't really feel like I should have to do that.
Yeah.
I sort of feel like...
this is Quincy. You got Quincy on the air
he's right here,
Yeah, I'm right here.
I told you he wasn't listening.
Oh, boy, somebody was listening. Were you listening to the show? Yeah. Oh, wait, there's a man in studio?
I'm in my office. I'm
and your office only gets channel 100.
Yeah, apparently. Who does Howard have on today? Hey, we have Quincy here. That's what I'm saying. Is there anything we could ask that we wouldn't know the answer to?
God damn it, Dr.
Oh,
Steve.
no, okay. So... it's awesome. Where did you go for your treatment?
I went to L.A. County, and then I went to Baltimore to get a surgery from Dr. Richard Alexander.
Yeah. So you had, I'm guessing, debulking surgery, and then they did some chemotherapy afterward?
Yeah, I did the HIPEC surgery.
Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, there's no reason to think that he's not telling the truth.
Yeah, and that's kind of why...
Absolutely not.
What you guys said earlier was why I was kind of clarifying that this is more about Quincy having the opportunity to clear his name, not prove anything, because I fully agree with what you just said, Quincy, and what Dr. Steve said, that, I mean, to see... For somebody to have cancer and then to have to prove it publicly is so dehumanizing. Yeah.
But there is something satisfying about when you're proving it. It's to shut somebody up. Mm-hmm. And like that woman who posted that, it's like a tremendously embarrassing thing for her. If
she doesn't even do comedy anymore.
Oh, she doesn't?
That's the thing. Like she bought a farm in Idaho or something like that. She's doesn't do comedy anymore.
And she's never apologized to you for your
No one has apologized.
Every cancer patient wants to beat the odds, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, they say, well, you got a year to live, and now it's 3 years and then 4 years, and you beat the odds. And then that should be a joyous thing, and then to have to turn around and defend yourself as if you never had cancer. And
you're supposed to be dead. You got an HBO show.
Dude, that's what Ari said.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, the HBO. People ask me like, yo, HBO special. Like one dude thought I made $1 million. He came up to me at the Comedy Store. Was like, hey man, I don't even know why you're still at the open mic, man. You're set. I was like, what do you mean I'm set? He's like, your HBO special. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, didn't you get like $1 million? I was like, let me put this in the context for you. Chris Rock got 40 million for 2 specials, right? Or something like
Netflix,
that.
yeah.
For Netflix. Chappelle got 60 for 4?
Something like that, yeah.
You think I got $1 million my first HBO special? I was like, come on, man. But like people don't think, and like no
Especially
one is,
because HBO probably gave you a bad deal because they were like, you only need money for another 6 months or so.
Exactly.
Like, what are we?
Yeah.
But like it was just for me, like I'd never experienced anything like that. It was a different level of hatred, especially when like I try and show love and be supportive and be a positive person. So when I randomly got attacked for this and no one provided any proof, I'm like, all right, well, I think it's how quickly people jump ship. That's the crazy part. What was that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Troy stepped on the phone on the
What is that?
His foot hit the phone on the floor.
Oh, it sounded weird. It sounded like an animal.
Yeah,
Stupid place to put a phone.
It is stupid.
I can't imagine that other comedians would somehow be jealous of somebody in this business. Surely Jim will confirm that they're all very happy when other people succeed.
Yeah, absolutely. We really root for each other. But Ari did say, it was very funny because he did admit, like, I don't know if it's true. Like, that's the thing. He's kind of like, he's almost pathologically honest. He couldn't help but say, like, I don't know if it's true or not.
But he loves gossip.
He loves gossip.
Yeah.
So weird.
Now,
and Quincy reached out to us and said he wanted to come on clear and like, of course.
So what do you do? Like you go, okay, this is a whirlwind, right? The story is kind of going everywhere. Then I go on Ellen, it goes viral.
Right.
Then I get this HBO show special. Everybody watches the HBO special. Do you get to this place where you're like, I'm still here? Like, what do I do now? What's the next move?
I mean, that's what I thought management representation would do.
When did they drop you?
They were like, we're done.
Let's see. The distribution with HBO lasted for a year. I think we broke up around 2017.
Okay.
So like March.
When did you shoot the special?
April of 2016.
Oh, 16. Okay. It was 3 years ago. Wow, too bad Ellen never had you back on, or tried to. That's an interesting follow up. Maybe she's not aware of all the shit that's happened after.
I mean, people are busy. Ellen's like a feel good story thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't think she.
Right.
And so with probably no proof for her or for whoever, she probably felt like, all right, well. If he, I don't know. No one reached back out to me.
But she also probably doesn't want to get in the weeds in this thing.
Guys.
You sorry? Go ahead, Dr. Steve.
No, I'm sorry. I found while you guys were talking, I looked up peritoneal mesothelioma prognosis, and it is significantly better than the lung version. Matter of fact, it says here life expectancy of peritoneal mesothelioma is a much more favorable prognosis than those with other forms of the disease. Many patients survive 5 years, even beyond 7 years. So that's for peritoneal mesothelioma. This is not uncommon. And the one thing I'll tell you too, Quincy, is that we I work in a cancer center. We are coming up with new things every day. Literally, I'm only barely exaggerating because we'll have manufacturers' representatives in here with new stuff all the time. We are approaching a generalizable treatment for cancer that'll be immunologic. And I used to say it was 100 years away, then 50, then, we talked about this the other day about the pancreatic cancer. I really just think it's barely a decade away.
Dr. Steve, we need it in 2. We need it in 2 years. Let's get a move on. Yeah. Let's get a move on this
Dr.
thing.
Steve, are you familiar with Keytruda or pembrolizumab?
Sure, absolutely.
That's what they're trying to move me on through experimental with patient assistance through Merck program.
No, Dr. Steve thinks you mean Truvada because he's on that.
What does Truvada do, Jim? Jim, what is Truvada?
Little prep humor.
Sorry, if you want to answer this question.
But the key is to kick the can down the road as far as you can, because they're going to have something else for this down.
What about the things that Quincy just asked? The two things.
The medications?
Yeah, no, Those are incredible drugs that are being tried in different tumors, and for people who are out there that want to get involved in maybe a clinical trial, you can go to a place called clinicaltrials.gov and just put in mesothelioma or whatever you happen to have and see if there are some clinical trials for you, particularly if you've exhausted regular treatment.
Boom.
Have you thought of doing that?
Yeah, that's what I'm
haven't?
I'm about to start moving on.
Yeah, that's what he's going to do. It sounds like a clinical trial. So.
Yeah. So
that's great, man. Well, I'm going to congratulate you for beating the odds, and I'm hoping that they can continue to beat the odds on this one. And if I can ever do anything for you, feel free to reach out to me. Jimmy's got my number, so does Sam.
Okay.
Yeah, he's Dr. Steve is amazing.
Appreciate
Yeah,
you,
he's
Dr.
amazing.
Steve.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Dr.
All right,
Steve.
nice talking to you, Steve. Take care.
All right, take care. Have a
Talk
nice
to you
day.
later, man.
But Sam, you were wondering like what do I do now after that? It was like, I mean, my thing, I write a fuck ton of material, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like had this negative shit, had this lie not spread about me, I could have gone further. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I could have pitched a show. I could have, had something. My story alone was probably worth something, a book or something like that. But because of this, everyone backed off so quickly and jumped ship that it was like, oh man. So I had to fight and prove shit, on my own, and just it was draining and tiring, especially when you're doing treatment every 3 weeks. You know.
Right.
So what I'm doing now is working on my next special, and I'm trying to talk to HBO about getting another one. I'm here.
Well, you do, by the way, have an interesting story, though, even though it sucks that people did that. But if there is a follow-up for a book, it's a very interesting story to have cancer and get a special. It's a more interesting story to have cancer and get a special and then be accused of faking it when you're not.
Yeah, I mean, are you writing material about all this experience? Because I think a perfect follow-up comedy special on HBO. Would you going up there and saying? I mean,
I definitely address it in my new hour.
Yeah,
I just ran my new hour last Wednesday in LA, little small theater, and so structure wise, like the material's there, and I just talk about like what you have to be to be able to try to fake cancer. It's only for like 5 minutes. I address it. I don't do it for a whole hour or anything, but then I get to the jokes, and it's a solid hour. It's better than my last one.
That's a good book. I mean,
I think there's a book there too.
There's a book in that too. The whole experience for the last 3 years of beating the odds on it, and just everything that's happened. I mean, that's a very interesting book.
I mean, I was depressed for a while. Like I was really depressed because I'd lost everything. You know what I'm saying? When people are looking at you say you have an HBO special, are you repped? And you're like, no. What do you have? Like, no. They're like, you don't have anybody? I was like, no. And so I was like, all right, well, what do? I kept writing material, but I was depressed and I wasn't there. So I went to Europe. I went to Europe for 5 weeks in 2017, and sort of that got me sort of right, mentally, and recentered me. And then
were you working or just relaxing?
Just a little bit of both. A little bit of both. I got in some shows, elsewhere. It's still showing internationally, so that helped a lot. But yeah, did that, and so came back in 2018 and tried a few different things. Tried colleges, realized that wasn't my shtick either. So just focusing on putting out this next hour, taping it and putting out and pitching the show then based on my story, because the sitcom I wrote, the pilot I wrote, was about a guy gets diagnosed with cancer, has to move in with his Mexican girlfriend's family. You know what I'm saying? And so all the hilarity, black guy, Mexican girlfriend, yada. So that was the show that I wrote. And so I figure at the heat of promotion for this special, it'll be great to.
How long have you been doing stand-up?
10 years this year.
Wow.
So you were about 6 years in when this whole thing happened.
Right.
That's fast to get an HBO special.
Right. So it's early.
It is. I'll be honest. I didn't expect HBO. I didn't ask for it. It was a total surprise.
Absolutely.
But I'm also not going to turn it down.
Of course, it'd be crazy to turn it down.
So I took the special, and HBO believes that once you're in there, your family, whatnot. So I'm going to talk to him while I'm out here and pitch the new hour to him, show him the footage. But yeah, it's I think the best thing about when you're a comedian or you're an artist and you put out anything, the important thing is to show growth in between projects.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I've had 3 years and a whole fuck ton of life experience now to talk about into this next special. I also did 1,000 sets in a year in 2013. So it's not like I was just a casual open micer who got thrown. They gave it to me because I was ready. They gave it to me because I was funny. And that was the best part about I'm an optimist, so I find the positive in anything. The best part about the room to lie was that no one could say I wasn't funny.
Right.
That was it.
Have you
He's real
thought about-
special. No one could say, "Oh, he's not funny," and he's lying about cancer, and he's not funny. It was just like it was a solid special, but I was lying about cancer. I was like, all right, well.
Have you thought about confronting anybody? Like, have you thought about like getting it on video, like saying, "Hey,
it's a great documentary." Go around talking,
finding
to
the
people
girl,
who accuse you of lying. Yeah, good point. Find the girl.
Yeah, and say like, "Hey, we're face to face now. Bring your stack of paper that you just showed Jim and myself. You know, all the stuff that Dr. Steve says is there. Here's the results. Here's the thing. Explain to me now, what information do you have that I don't have? What information do you have that I need to supply you?" All
Show her original Facebook post. Yeah, I mean, I guarantee you she would not agree to be on camera.
No, she wouldn't. She wouldn't. People tried to pitch like a podcast with her when she was still in L.A. Like, do you want to come and address it? No, you don't want to address someone who you accused of lying when you know you don't have any proof. That's dumb.
Right.
So it was like, plus to be honest, I have no interest in doing that.
You don't want to do that.
I don't like. That's me dwelling on negative stuff.
I do feel like though, and I'm with you in the sense that if you can just kind of rise above whatever's there and just let the material be the material, you can get past most. But when you got something like this, and you've got within your community, within the comedy community, people are spreading this thing, this idea that you're lying about having cancer, and it's such a story, right? Like it's a story enough that Jim and I immediately, when we hear there's a comedian lying about having cancer, we're locked in, just because that, whether it's true or not, that's an interesting story.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's what makes me think that this is one of the few exceptions where you do kind of have to go out of your way and spend some real time and make the people who are spreading this
answer for it
and look like fools, because otherwise this thing is going to spread. There needs to be some kind of succinct, whether it's a video or a post or something, like this is so that whenever this rumor comes up again, somebody else can post, no, they dealt with this and here it is.
And have people heard your explanation and then still said you were lying after they heard you explain it and saw paperwork or whatever.
I mean, that's the main reason why, is like people still believe that they want to believe. Like I provided proof. I've shown the pictures of me in the hospital. I've got the chemotherapy. I do it on IG Live. I stream it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if anybody doesn't believe me, it's because they just don't want to believe.
Or they like the narrative of not believing you. They like the idea that somebody lied about it and they can be mad.
But here's what I'm thinking. I mean, because I'm just thinking the way people think. The reason I believe that the story about you faking cancer spread so quickly with no information was because it's a sexy story. It's a story that people, you know what I mean, Jim. Don't make that face at me. Why, you didn't like that description?
Maybe not the adjective sexy.
But you know what I'm saying.
No, I know, but like he's fucking, like he's Woodward. You know? Stupid asshole.
No, I get where you're coming from.
And I feel like you need to have something in response that is equally as attractive to people, and people like confrontation. I think that it's one thing to say like, hey, I've got all this proof over here, why is everybody ignoring it? If you had something that was a confrontation where somebody looked foolish,
just run up on like InfoWars dude. Just run up on me.
Exactly.
I mean, literally,
built this?
Carlos Mencia's career ended.
It imploded, yeah.
It imploded not because of accusations of joke theft, but because there was a video of him getting confronted for it. And that's something that, like, I don't have to be a comedy fan. I'm going to click on a video of watching this guy get confronted for something and go, ooh.
And this is legitimate. It's not like you're confronting for like, you're not for like, oh, I'm going to just make something. It's like they're accusing you of faking, you know, an important part of your life. It's almost like
it goes beyond comedy.
Yeah, like they're saying that you didn't. This is not you. You lied to be. They're accusing you of something horrible.
Right. Like if somebody sent me a link and said, hey, I got a link of this guy that you don't know and you've never heard of, but he's confronting some other guy that you don't know and you've never heard of for telling people that he's lying about cancer when he's not. I'm watching that video. I want to see the confrontation.
I think also for me, like the difficult part of it is that I wouldn't even know I would only know the first person who started that.
Right.
You know, I can't track her down, you know, so
sure you can. Somebody can.
Somebody can?
If you have somebody who's willing to do.
But if she's out of, I get what he's saying. If she's out of the business and you need to hire like a private investigator.
Or you get somebody who does documentaries, or you get somebody who understands that world or could do a 1 hour. It doesn't have to be like a fucking 8-part, making a murderer. It can just be a 1 hour thing or a half hour, whatever you want it to be.
It could be a 5-minute YouTube.
It could be anything you want it to be. Exactly. Just get someone to produce it and let them do all the heavy lifting.
There were so many people, Jim.
What's that?
There were so many comics who were commenting.
Then there's a bunch of people to go to show their posts, to show what she wrote. You pamp, and this one refused to be on camera, that one, and then some guys would come on and apologize. Some guys would double down. It'd be interesting.
I mean, that's why, you brought up the 9/11 thing. That's why the Steve Ranazzisi thing just became so huge, because there's a 5-minute video of a guy lying about being at 9/11. Whether I care about comedy or Steve Ranazzisi or whatever, is this real? I want to see this guy lying about 9/11.
And Steve has talked about it too, I think.
He's admitted. Oh yeah, he admitted it. I mean, he's talked about it.
He's addressed it.
He's addressed it.
But the thing is, he's still getting booked.
Yeah,
he's on TV. He's great, and his career's going good. For me, it's like, for a person who actually lied about being in a national tragedy, and for a guy who's not lying about having cancer, and the difference of treatment is ridiculous. I don't know what the backlash was for when Steve got exposed. I don't know that. But I do know that the shit I'd have to go through, the hoops I'd have to jump through, is way more excessive than anything else I've ever done. You need,
I think, a larger platform to say it on, because people don't know the story. I just heard of it. I mean, I'm in comedy. I just heard of it. So let people know more. And again, maybe if it's not Ellen, then somebody else like that high-profile TV to come out and go, look, this is what's happened.
I mean, you guys got millions of followers. I'm sure someone will, spread the word to somebody. But
hopefully.
Because I reached out to Ellen. I reached out to the producer of Ellen and was like, yo, this is happening. Like, we should do a follow-up story. I thought maybe they do it in a year, right? Hey, comedian had a year to live. Nothing. 2 years. Nothing. 3 years. Nothing. So now it's at the point where we're coming up 4. I'm like, all right, well, I've given up hope to try and get on Ellen. You know what I'm saying? The thing is, like, everyone left. Everyone. So I had nobody really. Only people who were defending me were the comics who came to the hospital and saw it. You know what I'm saying? Who visited me during chemo.
Isn't it crazy how that rumor could start like that and not be true?
Yeah. But I mean, it's one of those people, there's a sick part in people's brains where they want to believe it. You know what I mean? You want to believe
original post. Give me a second. I have the girl's original post. The crazy part is, like, we were Facebook friends when she did that. We were Facebook.
So you saw the post go up.
I saw the post. People were telling me. Like, Jeff Dye reached out to me and was like, "Hey, is this true?" I was like, "No, it's not."
See, at least Jeff asked you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of just reading the post and be like, "Oh,
yeah, Jeff asked you."
Give me a second.
But isn't that wild? Like, it's all based on, well, he does. Yeah, he's got a beard. Like there's all this medical. He's got all these papers. He's got all these posts on Instagram. But the rumor is so salacious that you're like, yeah, he's got a beard. I mean, Jim, we were locked into it when we thought it was true.
Sure, because then you start looking for clues, but we thought it had been confirmed beforehand.
We did. Ari,
and then Ari sprung it on us. They had no idea what he was talking about.
Ari, unfortunately, did lead us astray in that, scenario.
When I heard it and I was listening to it, I was like, yo, because he's first is like, because he tried to segue from the juicy joke to, like, remember that comedian who faked having cancer to get an HBO special? It was like, how do you even, what?
Yeah, we were like, what?
Ari has notoriously bad segues.
He does. He does. He does. And I'm sure, I mean, Ari is honest to a fault.
Yeah, I think that he, because he did tell on himself at the end that he didn't know.
He did. He was perfectly, he's like, I just think that this is true, but I don't know. I don't know.
He's but a conduit.
I'm here to just tell the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's why I think, sometimes, normally I'm with the idea that, you just let people say what they're going to say.
Well, we should look up Quincy Jones lying on, we should Google that, just see what it says.
Yeah, I'm down. Look it up.
Quincy Jones lying on what?
No, so we could see some of the people who have, if he Googles that.
What should he look up, though?
Oh, just Quincy Jones lying, and just see if anything comes up, and then you can see people who have, there might be something, there might not be.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because Quincy's looking up her original post, so maybe it will come up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when those rumors, when you have, you're in a scenario where people are so much quicker to believe the rumor, you just have to get in front of it,
Yeah, oh no, that wasn't almost.
How come you went with Quincy Jones as your performing name?
I was dating a chick at the time, and she'd said, "I'm gonna come to the open mic and boo you And so I started.
What was her name? Diana Ross.
I went to I started in Seattle at the Comedy Underground. I was there, and they don't allow first name or one letter sign up. So I was like, at first I put Q. They're like, what is it, Quincy or Quincy? I was like, yeah, Quincy. Like, what's your last name? We don't do one names either. So what is it, Jones? I was like, yeah, Jones. Quincy Jones. So I went with that, did 3 minutes, and so it sort of went with it.
Why don't they allow one name?
I don't know, man.
If that's your name?
So
they wouldn't let Sinbad go on?
Well, if he's doing like signing up for like open mics or stuff, they just don't want people like, you're not a character, you're just a guy.
Oh, okay.
Right. I mean, there was a bunch of people who said
when did the post get posted? Like, how long ago did the
he's looking for it on his phone now.
It's July 2015.
Oh wow! So 2015 is when it kind of starts.
I'm sorry. July 2016. Correction.
So 2016 is when it starts to bubble.
Almost 3 years, 2.5 years.
Yeah, Special came out June 2nd, my birthday. So Special came out then. A month, like not even a month later, I get the surgery on July 7th, and I'm coming out of surgery, and I see that shit.
Yeah.
I'm getting the staples taken out. I see that shit. You're getting staples taken out of your fucking stomach, and you see someone saying that you're lying. You're like, it's going to fuck with your brain a little bit.
And have you sat there, like, every time you think that, okay, I think this has died down, I don't think people are really talking about this anymore, it pops back up? Are you going like, oh my God, you got to be
the most random shit will pop up. Like, nothing that'll even trigger it. It'll just randomly. Just a couple months ago, comic in New York. Hey, that comedian lying about cancer dead yet? I'm like, what? I don't.
He said what on...
Did you set it on Facebook? You're just like...
What comic?
I don't remember his name.
It's Sean in Wisconsin.
Let's go to Sean.
Hello,
What's
Sean.
up, bud?
Hey, guys, I 97% believe this guy.
Okay.
And the only reason the 3% is hanging out there, and maybe he's just a way better person than I am, but if somebody lied about me like that, I would tell the doctors, listen, next time you're in there, give me a needle full of cancer cells. I'm driving to Idaho, and I'm injecting her at her little Idaho ranch with cancer cells and say, look, bitch, if I don't have it, you don't have it. Boom.
Yeah, I'm surprised there hasn't been some kind of a confrontation.
Sure.
Like, that would put me, not that much gets me rageful, but that would get me in a rage.
I don't know how I'd handle it if I had been diagnosed with a terminal illness. Like, I would handle it like I think I would handle it now, but if I was Quincy and I don't know what that feels like.
I know it might seem like I'm hella chill about it, but it's only because like I'm black. And like if I get angry, I'm gonna spaz out and like I get enraged.
See, that's what Sam always says.
Right, like I get angry. I've been dealing with this. I've felt the rage. I've wanted to fucking hurt people, but I also realize like that's kind of the price of it. You get some good news, the opposite of the universe is going to balance it out with something bad to try and tear it down.
Just seems like there's more bad than good.
I mean,
like it seems like surviving, not being dead of cancer is the good news.
Right.
But everything else, they're just piling shit on you while you're still here.
If that management company left you.
Okay, we found the Facebook post.
I was having the hardest year of my life before I took on the care of my mother who was recently diagnosed with dementia. I think I'm doing this because I'm just out of fucks to give about protecting myself from what this might bring on. Quincy Jones is lying about being terminal. I begrudge no comedy opportunity he's gained, but do begrudge how much money he's made on it. If you donated to him and want to sue him to get your money back, contact me and I'll help you navigate that, and I will not charge you anything. The second post on August 13th. Now that was July 16th. Okay. Second post. I've been told accusing Quincy Jones of financial fraud is wrong because I have no proof. I do have proof. While I cannot share all the proof I have at this time, I can share the proof far and away more convincing than the proof many people are criminally convicted on every day. Others think I did this out of jealousy or bitterness. I honestly just blah, 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 blah. So the point is...
Should I say it? I'm not going to read it.
Go ahead.
So... was the proof ever presented?
No, Sam. There's no proof.
Yeah.
You can't back up a lie.
Right.
You can keep backing up a lie with more lies, but there's no proof.
Right. And the reason there's no proof is because she's
lying.
Right. I understand. Okay, that makes sense.
This random motherfucker just said that with no nothing. I was looking for it. I knew I fucking had it.
Yeah, did you screen grab it?
No, it's favorite. It was in my favorites.
Let me ask you, she said now Quincy Jones is lying about being terminal. Now, is she saying that you're lying about having cancer or that you were lying about the prognosis?
I don't know.
She's saying lying about being terminal. So, I mean, her words are not that you're lying about cancer, but being terminal. But either way,
it's still.
I mean, we just heard Dr. Steve.
Sure, it's a terminal diagnosis.
Just because he's not dead yet doesn't mean it's not terminal.
And just because the prognosis could be 1 to 7, or that's still a terminal diagnosis of stage 4.
Yeah, he beat the odds and is surviving longer, which should be celebrated.
Yeah,
but that doesn't mean it's not terminal.
Not with comics.
Yeah.
Not with and you think that if I had blown up and turned into an asshole or something like that,
right?
And it was just Rick James and motherfuckers and just slapping. I can understand people yo, this dude's fucking tripping. Flame's gone to his head. I'm still at open mics. I'm still working on material. I'm still supporting motherfuckers. People get good shit all the time. A lot of comics get good shit. I'm still encouraging them. You know what I'm saying? So it's I'm being supportive, and it's just amazing how quick shit changes. Let me find a voice recording for you guys real quick.
Who's it a voice recording of?
It's of the doctor. Of the doctor. Let me say, I'm trying to find.
You can always tell we'll know because you can tell a doctor's voice.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
When you
I'm
hear
listening to you guys right now. He's in studio.
He was lying. The doctor was lying.
I'm going to accuse Dr. Steve of lying.
Yeah, Dr. Steve. So far, I believe Quincy Jones, the comedian in here, way more than I believe.
That's right.
Dr. Steve.
Yeah, guys, great show today.
All right, give me a second.
So we got comedian Quincy Jones. Who's that?
Yeah.
All right, good. Glad
I have found no holes in comedian Quincy Jones' story and several in Dr. Steve's.
But listen to this. This is the paperwork. That's a stack of paperwork.
It's a hell of a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
It's
so just to give you guys context, this is them. I told you they woke me up out of dilated dreams to fucking tell me this. So I went.
So did they know it was being recorded? Did you record it just so you had it, or?
Yeah, I told them. They knew.
I think I was recovering because it was so late in the day. So it's just in my abdomen?
It's in the abdomen, it's in the lung, is where the area around the lung, that whole lining of the lung.
The whole lining of the lung?
Yeah, it's in that whole area. So the treatment that we would offer would be chemotherapy, which is, drugs through an IV.
Mm-hmm. Is it just in those two spots? Or...
That's what we can see on the scan. Now, sometimes the scans don't see everything.
Right.
The way this tumor is it sort of goes throughout these linings, so it doesn't show up as a big ball or a big tumor necessarily. It just
so how much time do I have?
So, in the studies that they've done in the with the lung version of this, which is very similar, with the best chemotherapy, the average survival was about a year.
Okay.
That was average. Now, obviously, some people do better, some people do worse. Some people respond really well to chemotherapy, some don't. And the only way to find that out is to start giving it to you and see what happens to your tumors.
So how soon can we start chemotherapy?
We can start as soon as tomorrow.
Let's do it.
I mean, that's pretty convincing.
Wow.
I'm really glad that you recorded that.
I'm really glad you were doped up, too, because that's a terrible diagnosis to hear, and you handled it pretty well.
Is that why you recorded it? Because you were doped up and you wanted to make sure that you got what he was saying?
I mean, I was on 3 or 4 milligrams of Dilaudid, through the IV. So I was drugged up because I got it every couple hours for pain. And so, I mean, that's also the thing. Some people would be like, oh, I see Quincy Jones drinking. Mm-hmm. I see him drinking. I see him having a good time. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I mean, I just put out a special. I just finally gotten rewarded for all the toiling I'd done in comedy, open mic. So I was happy. I was in a good place, but also am in pain. I do take pain meds a lot. So for people to be like, oh, I see him out having a good time, he's definitely lying about having cancer. It's like, you guys, your stories, your excuses are getting weaker every time I hear it.
Yeah, that's a rough one because you do hear that sometimes, and it's like that doesn't make any sense.
Don't smile. You have cancer.
Right. Makes no sense.
Don't feel good ever.
Yeah. So it's like, I got the proof, I got the biopsy, I got the recording, I had all this stuff, and no one bothered to do any fact checking. My oncologist, Dr. Gino my oncologist was like, do you want me to go on Ellen? I'd love to go on Ellen. I was like, I don't know Ellen like that.
Yeah, exactly.
but if I could,
Dr. Steve is going to try to squeeze on. No, I'd be happy to go on and plug Howard.
So it's that's what it was. I was mad because I've dealt with cancer my whole life. My mom had cancer. non-blood related Hodgkin's lymphoma. My grandma passed of pancreatic cancer. I've dealt with cancer my whole life. So for me to have cancer and then someone be like, you're lying about having cancer, plus all the shit that you got with survivor's remorse, you know what I'm saying? You got people, I literally have people on social media being like, my grandfather had peritoneal mesothelioma and he died. And I wish you were dead and he was here. And I was like, damn, all this, for what?
Right.
For what?
Right.
You know, like I'm not gonna I'm supposed to apologize for living. Sorry, I didn't die.
Yeah.
Sorry. So the name of my next special is called Still Here. And you know, and like I'm just trying to move on from it and address it, and hopefully, you know, do things differently this time around. You know,
we have a couple people. Ashley in Arizona wants to ask a question. What's up, Ashley?
Hey guys, good morning.
Good morning, Ashley.
Yeah, Quincy, I'm so fucking sorry, and now that I just heard that clip, I kind of feel bad that I even called. But I think until I had heard Ari on the other day, I didn't really know your story, so I started looking it up, and I think it was the terminal part that was getting to people. But that clip that you just played is kind of a tell-all that you were under the impression that you were going to die, and it's awesome that you're still here. So I guess my question is turned to a congratulations on that. But yeah, That's what I was gonna say, was that the terminal part didn't line up. So
thank you, Ashley. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what Dr. Steve was saying too. That it's supposed to be good news when you have a diagnosis that's terminal and you don't end up dying as quickly as they thought you were going to. That's just supposed to be like, oh, great, oh, terrific.
Well, Dr. Steve said, the prognosis for this one is much better. Something in 20 years, 5 years, or 7.
Yeah.
Like, it's terminal, but it's a much longer, relatively speaking, 5 to 7 years, a lot better than 1 year.
Yeah, yeah. And Eric has some advice. Eric in New York. Eric, you there, bud? Yeah, hey, bud.
Yeah, hi, guys. Yeah, listen, I'm hearing the story. It sounds like he has all the documents to prove it. The only thing you need, man, you need to hire an attorney and sue this woman for defamation of character. Because if she ruined your career like that, if for 2 years you haven't been able to get on Ellen or get a special or get booked somewhere, you have a great lawsuit against her.
Yeah, I mean, if
hire an attorney.
If it's cost you income, I mean, that's kind of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I need it. I don't have money for a lawyer. I don't have it.
I think lawyers work on a percentage.
Yeah,
something like that.
For those type.
Yeah, well,
I mean, if you can find out
of her anyway.
Yeah, it's actually
if she quit comedy and just move,
that goes back to your point about
it's not worth
suing broke comics. It's like, what are you gonna get?
Right. I mean, I can get my name cleared.
You can get your name cleared,
but at the same time, now it's like you think management. You're in the industry. You think management's gonna come back around and be like, hey, all right.
Other management might though. Whatever shipper has left you, especially if it was just for this. If it was for other reasons, that's one thing. But if it was for this. Other management will, I'm sure, pick you up. And I would suggest, personally, I would just do some kind of a filmed piece on it because it gets faster. And a confrontation or just presenting all the facts and how crazy this is, because it's an interesting story. And it's also a great statement about believing a rumor that you have no reason to believe, other than the fact that it's more fun to believe the rumor than it is to believe the truth. The truth is less interesting. Wow, this poor guy got diagnosed and it sucks and he's gonna, he has a terrible diagnosis. But the rumor of he lied, fuck, that's interesting.
You got to make.
Or Sam would say it's sexy.
I mean, I tried. There were times I tried to reach out to Amanda Seals.
Yeah,
blocked me and everything. Like the reason why, like these people don't want confrontation. Mainly because they
did Amanda Seals say stuff about you?
Yeah. Amanda Seals was like, oh, yeah, he's lying about having cancer. Blocked on everything, every social media site. So I've reached out to people.
Did you know Amanda?
Yeah. Yeah, I knew Amanda.
And then what happened that she decided to turn and say?
I have no idea. I met Amanda when she first moved out from New York to L.A. Met her at a show. Took her around to open mics. I showed love. So when that happened, I was like, I felt completely powerless. That's what sent me into depression. Not just Amanda Seals, but like everything weighing on me. Just being like, yo, like I haven't been booked at a club in over a year. I've reached out to the clubs I went to. No one's fucking with me. A new management company, Avalon. I just got word through a contact. They were like, yeah, we're not. No one's really gonna fuck with them because of the faking cancer thing.
Oh man! Like, so it's really hurt your career.
It's
terribly.
Really hurt, dude. Like I'm like for real, like all not fucking around. Like
right.
It's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? And so like I'm trying to work a day. I can't work a day job because I get treatment every 3 weeks. Otherwise I would. You know what I'm saying? Because it usually puts me out for a week. 3 to 5 days. So That's gone. So I'm trying to figure out how to hustle, how to make bread, to keep a roof over my head. And I got motherfuckers, when I have great show ideas, been rewritten over and over again to pitch, and people are like, yeah, nah, we're just not fucking with this.
We're not even reading
All right, well, on Twitter, it's not that Quincy Jones. Oh, not that QuincyJones.com. And it's at LLQJ206.
LLQJ206. Feel free to apologize. Feel free to book me.
Well, hopefully this will help, and we'll post the interview on our YouTube channel, so that's at least something that you can pass around if you want to.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity to come up here.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was just important, and Jim did too. We both kind of instantaneously agreed that if we're going to have the conversation without you, you would be a
much better guy to have in the studio.
Component in the conversation to have it with. You know what I mean?
I'm happy to be here. And just so everyone is clear, they didn't ask me up here to be like, oh, man, come defend your name. I reached out to them, and I was proactive, and I was like, I'd love to get on the show, and defend and clear my name finally on a major platform. Yeah. You can't just clear your name via Facebook.
Right.
You can't just clear your name via, I doubt a video go viral for me, but you know what I'm saying? Like, that's where it was at. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thanks for coming in.
For sure, man. Thank you, and we will see you all tomorrow.
I'm going to be in Orlando Friday and Saturday at the Improv.
Oh, very exciting.
Goodbye.
Oh, my God.